Well, Trump beat the other Republicans, but what are the hurdles to beating Hillary Clinton? And there are many. Tonight, we spell them out. Then, more trouble for Mayor Bill de Blasio. He is luring up, and one of his top aides has just stepped down. We're going to get into all that, plus our conversation with a local hero who's also an American hero, former NASA astronaut and Yonkers native, Ron Guerin.
This is not just so we could learn what's out there and increase our understanding of the world and the universe that we live in. It also has direct, tangible benefits for us all here on the surface of the earth, and it's the absolute best investment we can make in our future.
Really interesting interview. I also sat down with an author of a new Jackie Robinson book, also illuminating some really cool stuff in that astronaut interview, but that's coming up. Welcome to RFL, everybody. I'm Richard French, and thank you for joining us this Friday night. Well, now that Trump is a presumptive GOP nominee, he is starting to focus on the general election, but the Donald is already facing a lot of obstacles, and many of them are coming from within the grand old party. House Speaker Paul Ryan, as we told you last night, the guy who will bang the gavel to open the convention, just said he's not ready to support Trump. The last two Republican nominees, Mitt Romney and John McCain, also said they'll probably pass. Romney said he will not back him, and he's gone out of his way, as you know, to slam him. McCain, he's worried Trump could cost him re-election, but it appears McCain will hold nose and support the Donald, since, in fact, he won the primaries. But Senator Lindsey Graham is saying no way, no how, no chance. Here is what the South Carolina Republican said just a couple hours ago.
I just can't go where Donald Trump would take us. I don't think he's qualified to be commander-in-chief. I will support every other Republican in the country. Our House and Senate majorities are at risk, and I'll work to maintain them. I love Tim Scott, be his biggest fan, but I cannot go where Trump takes us.
Other than that, he loves Trump. But the Donald has a lot of other concerns besides just Republicans. Math isn't in his favor. University of Virginia's political guru, Larry Sabato, one of the few guys who usually gets this stuff right, he shows that Hillary Clinton has a 347 to 191 electoral win when it came time in his projections for November. Trust me, that's a landslide. And it's looking worse for the Donald in those key swing states. I'm talking about Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, Virginia, Colorado, Nevada, all of them leaning Clinton. Pennsylvania, likely Clinton. Those 7 states are worth nearly 200 electoral votes. And when you look at different groups, Trump, he's got to dig himself out of a really deep hole. Hillary, she leads the Donald among all women, non-whites, and people of all income levels as well as education levels. Another hurdle for Trump could be Trump himself. He is still kind of hard to take seriously at times, and you never know what he's going to say next. And if you think I'm digging back from a few weeks ago, a few months ago, how about just yesterday? This is Cinco de Mayo tweet. And I'm quoting directly because I couldn't make this up. Happy Cinco de Mayo. The best taco balls are made at Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics. And with that, let me bring in my panel. Shelley Mayer, she's a Democratic Assemblywoman representing Yonkers. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Jerry McKinstry is here. Jerry is recently named managing director of the November Team, a Republican-leaning political consulting group run by a good friend of the show here, both Bill O'Reilly and Jessica Proud. And of course, we got Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent. And you know, Jerry, let me start with you and a common friend, Bill O'Reilly.
Yes.
Bill O'Reilly made it clear Donald Trump is a bridge too far for him. He's been a Republican, Bill, his whole life. He proudly calls him that, but he will not share the same party as Donald Trump. He's not alone. What would you say to Bill O'Reilly and the rest of the folks like him? And I can do a litany. Mary Matlin is registering as an independent now, in part because of Trump, or in whole because of Trump. How many Republicans are you hearing these same sentiments from? And do you think in November they'll hold their nose and still pull the lever for the Donald?
You know, I'm as clearly I work with Bill on a daily basis. I read his column. I agree with his column. I'm not a Trump supporter, but there's a lot of people in the Republican Party and elsewhere who are supporting Trump. But when we talk about this sort of growing number of people, particularly Republicans, who cannot vote for Trump, I mean, I don't know that they're ever going to convert. The question is there another candidate on the ballot they could support? Do they, pinch their nose and go for Hillary? I mean, there's a lot of questions out there.
Or do they stay home?
Or do they stay home? And I think sort of there's, the field is big, and I think you're talking about as a combination of a lot of things. But I do think a lot of people who don't, particularly among the Republicans, who do not support Trump or don't love the fact that he's the top of the ticket, will come around. And I think the big concern for Republicans isn't necessarily the top of the ticket as much as the bottom of the ticket, or as you go down. So,
and this same question for all you guys. I listed a litany of things from, the circular firing squad in Republican circles right now as it relates to the Donald. So you got Republicans got a problem with him. We mentioned the demographics about women, minorities, and not just minorities, but Latinos registering in record numbers in part because of the Donald. You'll also have his mouth here. And I didn't even get into the Oppo research. We've gotten a few tastes from some of the Hillary ads using both Republicans' words and also some of the things he said. And there's going to be a lot of money that will be spent reminding people about the Donald's career. What is his biggest hurdle he's got to clear here? All those things I mentioned, the math, I mean, you've run campaigns. How do you do that? And you don't have 2 years to do it. He's got between now and November.
Well, I wouldn't start with the premise that he has all these forces against him. The guy has shown himself to be a remarkable politician with a message that resonates across many pieces of the spectrum. I would say primarily the Republican and primarily male spectrum, but taking that subset of the American public, he's done incredibly well, and no one should count him out. And as a strong Hillary person, I believe we have to take him as seriously as possible. We should not underestimate that he will try to change his tone to become more appealing to people who find him offensive and to try to mend fences with people he's offended.
But if he's got to pick one area that to fix, and again, it's not what my thoughts, it's no secret how I feel about Trump. As Andrew said last night, you have to go back more than a generation to find at this point in a presidential election a candidate trailing by this big a margin that has ever closed that gap. I mean, forget about there's ever closed a gap, that has haven't even been this far before.
Yeah, but everyone wrote him off at the beginning. I don't think we should start with, this is the historical precedent. This guy is outside the historical
think history doesn't
precedent.
matter anymore?
Oh, I don't think history doesn't matter. I think he's an anomaly, and we should reevaluate how we do it. That being said, I think women on the whole will forever find him objectionable. He is the guy every working woman has met and worked with and wants nothing more to do with.
So, Dom, same thing. And I know you take the approach that people have always, at their own peril, underestimated Trump. Say you're even right.
He is right.
To that end, though.
Thank you,
even if
Assemblywoman.
women are off the table largely for him.
Okay, and they're not. And they're not. They're not, Richard.
What woman's going to come around to Donald Trump after what he said?
Richard, listen, we can beat this drum all we want to. It's not going to change the way America feels about this guy.
Well, we just went through national polls,
Richard,
and he bases his whole campaign off of
polls
polls.
mean absolutely nothing. The Democratic Assemblywoman just said he's an anomaly, which is correct. He has resonated, which is correct. We can't just throw him out the window and say it's not going to work.
I'm saying, what would he have to do to give him his best chance to win? Because you're not
Stay
prepared.
himself. Stay himself. That's what his resume.
He'll win
He
with
doesn't.
it. I don't agree. I
Yeah.
don't think he'll win with it, but he'll
I don't see
scare
him
us.
changing because he's got to ignite the base and stay himself and go after Hillary the same way he did with all the other Republicans, and that's what he's going to do.
By base, I assume you mean his base and not the Republican base, because he's losing the Republican base. They're starting to fray when people like Bill O'Reilly
No,
or
he's
people
not
like
losing the Republican base.
I think he is.
not. Okay, he is losing the Republican establishment.
Well,
and these are folks that didn't matter. They were irrelevant from day one.
He's trying to craft a new base. He's trying to craft a base that moves a little more towards the center, and he's trying to, I mean, he needs everybody to stay angry. And he's going to foment that anger as best he possibly can. You said, what's the one thing that he can do to improve his odds? Beat up Hillary Clinton as much as possible. Make her look as bad as he possibly can. The worse she looks, the more she's a Washington insider, the more that increases the frustration with the process altogether.
But can you do this,
think that'll
Andrew?
work. I don't think it'll
At the end of the day, if he's going to maintain from now to the election, I'm going to build a wall and the Mexico is going to pay for it. I don't see how you get back from that one. That's not going to help you with the Latino vote. And I don't care what Dom says. He's not going to get the majority of the Latino vote. If he goes after Hillary and says all the things we expect he's going to say, the huge problem he has with women probably is going to get magnified. So if you have a problem with women You have a problem with registered Democrats. You have a problem with Latinos. Forget about the Muslim vote or whatever. I'm not even going down that road. How exactly? Oh, by the way, he said, I'm not picking favorites with Israel and, the Palestinians. Not going to help you too much with that electorate either. Where can he get 50%?
He's going to try to do it with angry voters. He's going to try to do it with people who feel like their economic condition has not improved and are frustrated by some of the deals that have been made by Washington insiders. Look, I agree with you. I don't think the math works for him to get there, but we have underestimated him from the very beginning. Nobody thought his math was going to work in the primary process. And if you're Donald Trump, why would you change your game plan at this point? You've pulled off one of the arguably greater upsets in primary history to get the nomination. Yeah, but he's going to stick with the game plan that got him there, and he's going to try to expand on that by making more people angry and making more people disillusioned with the system.
I think the Obama strategy of expanding the electorate is a very, it worked for President Obama twice. He expanded, and I think Trump has trying a little bit of that, bringing new people in. I don't think they can ever beat up Hillary Clinton enough to do what you said. She has spent a lifetime being beat up. Nothing more they can do.
Well, I want to pivot on the other side of the break here to a story that is growing in New York, and that has to do with the mayor of New York City. He's just hired not one, but two hotshot law firms to defend himself, and you know that the heat is on. Investigations piling up, and now one of his top advisors bailing out. Up next, we'll hash it all out.